Seth Rollins' entrance music echoed throughout the building, and the crowd instantly erupted. Thousands of voices began singing along with his theme before Seth had even stepped onto the stage. Dressed completely in white ring gear, Seth slowly walked onto the entrance ramp carrying something that immediately caught everyone's attention, a classic Shield mask. It wasn't just a prop. It represented one of the most important chapters of his career, reminding everyone of the group that forever connected him with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. Seth didn't rush to the ring. Instead, he took his time, soaking in every reaction from the crowd while continuing to hold the Shield mask in his hands. The fans continued singing his entrance music louder and louder, creating one of the loudest crowd reactions of the entire weekend. Every step Seth took toward the ring seemed intentional, almost as if he wanted Roman to remember everything they had once built together before they eventually destroyed it. Moments later, the atmosphere shifted once again as Roman Reigns made his entrance. The crowd welcomed the World Heavyweight Champion with an incredible reaction of its own. Roman walked slowly toward the ring with complete confidence, showing the calm presence that had defined his championship reign. He never looked distracted, never showed any emotion, keeping his eyes focused on the ring and on the challenger waiting inside. As Roman climbed onto the apron and entered the ring, Seth immediately raised the Shield mask in front of him. Without saying a single word, Seth used the mask to taunt Roman, reminding him of the brotherhood they once shared before everything fell apart. Roman stared directly at the mask with a serious expression before slowly pushing it aside. The tension between the two men became almost unbearable. The crowd knew this wasn't just another wrestling match. This was personal. The referee called for the bell, and SummerSlam's biggest main event officially began. The opening moments were cautious as both men circled each other, refusing to make the first mistake. Seth relied on his speed and technical ability, while Roman answered with his incredible power. The first lockup quickly turned into a series of counters, neither man able to gain a clear advantage. Every reversal reminded the audience that these two had spent years learning each other's strengths and weaknesses. Seth struck first with a series of quick forearm shots before connecting with a sharp dropkick that sent Roman into the corner. He immediately followed with aggressive corner strikes, refusing to let Roman build momentum early. Roman answered by exploding out of the corner with a thunderous clothesline that completely turned the match around. The impact echoed throughout the stadium as Seth crashed onto the mat. Roman continued controlling the pace with heavy punches and powerful uppercuts before launching Seth across the ring with a massive Samoan drop. The champion covered immediately, but Seth kicked out, proving that he had come prepared for a war rather than a wrestling match. As the action continued, Seth gradually began targeting Roman's legs, using chop blocks and quick kicks to slow down the spear. Every attack had a purpose. Seth knew that if Roman couldn't explode forward, one of his most dangerous weapons would become far less effective. Roman attempted his first Superman punch of the match, but Seth narrowly avoided it before responding with a sling blade that brought the crowd to its feet. Seconds later, Seth sprinted toward the ropes, looking for a stomp, but Roman rolled out of the way at the very last second. The two men stared at each other again, both realizing how close the match had already come to ending. The pace continued increasing as Roman delivered another Superman punch that landed perfectly, sending Seth spinning across the ring. Roman quickly measured his opponent and charged for the spear, but Seth leaped over him just in time. Roman crashed shoulder first into the turnbuckle, giving Seth another opening. Seth immediately capitalized by delivering a buckle bomb before attempting another stomp. Roman somehow avoided disaster once again, this time answering with a devastating powerbomb that nearly secured the victory. The referee counted 1, 2, but Seth kicked out to an enormous roar from the audience. The near falls continued coming one after another. Roman landed another Superman punch. Seth answered with a pedigree attempt. Roman escaped. Seth connected with a Falcon Arrow. Roman survived. Every exchange became more desperate as both competitors refused to stay down. Then came the moment nobody expected. After years of defining themselves as Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, both men suddenly reached back into their shared past. Seth shocked everyone by delivering offense inspired by Dean Ambrose, abandoning his usual calculated style for wild, unpredictable attacks. The audience immediately recognized the tribute, erupting with chants throughout the arena. Not wanting to be outdone, Roman answered by using Dean Ambrose-inspired offense himself. For a brief moment, it almost felt as though the spirit of the Shield had returned inside the ring. The crowd watched in amazement as the two remaining members of the legendary faction reflected pieces of the brother they had once fought beside. It wasn't about copying moves. It was about acknowledging a history that neither man could ever erase. For several minutes, the match transformed from a championship contest into an emotional battle between two former brothers who had carried the legacy of the Shield for more than a decade. Every fan understood exactly what those moments represented. As exhaustion began setting in, Roman found another opening and exploded forward with an incredible spear that drove Seth completely inside out. The impact was devastating, but in the chaos, the referee was accidentally knocked out of position and rolled outside the ring. Roman made the cover, but there was no official there to count. Realizing the opportunity in front of him, Seth slowly rolled out of the ring. Looking underneath the apron, he pulled out a steel chair. The crowd immediately began reacting, expecting Seth to take the easy way out. He carried the chair back toward Roman, gripping it tightly with both hands. Roman slowly stood up while Seth stared directly into his eyes. The chair was raised. The crowd waited, but the swing never came. Instead of striking Roman, Seth lowered the steel chair. After everything they had been through together, he couldn't bring himself to win that way. Roman looked surprised but quickly responded with a powerful right hand that knocked Seth backward onto the canvas. The steel chair slipped from Seth's hands and landed in the center of the ring. Roman slowly picked it up. Now it was his turn. The audience once again expected the champion to finish the match with a brutal chair shot. Roman raised the chair high above his head. Then he stopped. He looked at Seth. He looked at the chair. And finally, he lowered it. Roman chose not to use it. At that moment, both men silently understood one another. They had spent years betraying each other, seeking revenge, and fighting endless wars. But neither wanted this chapter of their rivalry to end with a shortcut. They wanted to discover, once and for all, who the better man truly was. Roman threw the steel chair out of the ring, and the crowd responded with a thunderous ovation. It was a symbolic moment. Both competitors had rejected the easy path and chosen respect over hatred. The referee gradually recovered and climbed back into the ring just as both superstars pulled themselves to their feet. Every strike from this point forward carried even greater meaning because neither man had anything left except determination. Seth launched one final offensive burst, connecting with rapid forearms before delivering another devastating stomp that nearly ended Roman's reign. The referee counted 1, 2. Roman somehow kicked out. The challenger couldn't believe it. Knowing this might be his final opportunity, Seth charged forward again, looking for another decisive attack. But Roman perfectly anticipated the movement. In one incredible motion, he exploded forward with a thunderous spear that cut Seth completely in half. This time there was no escape. The referee dropped to the mat. 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns retained the World Heavyweight Championship clean in the middle of the ring. The stadium erupted as Roman slowly stood, exhausted but victorious. Seth remained on the canvas, disappointed yet proud that the match had been decided without shortcuts, without betrayal, and without sacrificing the respect they had rediscovered. SummerSlam 2026 proved that while Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins may never become brothers again, the legacy of the Shield will forever remain part of both men. For one unforgettable night, they remembered where they came from, honored the bond that once changed WWE forever, and finished the war the only way it deserved to end, with honor, respect, and one final spear that sealed another historic chapter in one of wrestling's greatest rivalries.